All right, welcome everyone to our transition and maintenance Zoom. This is fun to just see what the next step in our journey is. As we've talked about before, health is not, or program is not about weight loss. Weight loss is the first step in our health journey. So we're working on getting to a healthy weight, retraining our brain, working on those habits, and then transitioning into a healthy lifestyle. And then the optimization phase is that last phase where we continue working on our health. A lot of times we feel like it's a finish line. When you see that number on the scale that you're hoping for, a lot of times you think you're going to cross the finish line. But just like a bodybuilder, if they want to maintain that muscle, they can't just stop exercising and eating healthy. Same thing with a healthy body. If you want to keep your healthy body, it will require healthy habits, lifelong transformations. And so hopefully during this weight loss phase, you're getting used to some of those habits that are going to be really important. And we'll talk about that. But it will move into a new phase, kind of not as structured as the 5-in-1, and we will go over how to make that simple for you tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And as I'm doing that, a lot of people wonder, like, when do they start transition? When's the best time to start that? And one rule of thumb is this is your journey. There's not a specific number that you have to get to, but when you get to that place where you want to be, that healthy BMI, I always have my clients go 1 week more. So going 1 week past your goal kind of gives you a couple pound buffer, because as you are eating more sodium, then your body will naturally retain more water. And I don't want you to freak out if you gain a pound after transition. So having that, 1 to 2 pound buffer is really nice before you start transition. Now we talked about habits. So these are, I call them the high five, and we'll go over those. But these are things that you're working on right now as you're getting healthy, as you're losing weight. And these are important things for the rest of your life. And like I said, we call them the high five. And so that's an easy way to remember the 5 main habits that you want to focus on. So the first one is sleep. Sleep is crucial. You will find if you go through times that you're not getting sleep, you're going to be hungrier. You're going to crave carbs more. Your weight is going to creep up if you are consistently not getting your sleep. So make sure that sleep is a priority for the rest of your life. And yes, there will be nights that you don't get great sleep, but in general, we want that to be something that you're really working on long term. The second is drinking your water. The habit of drinking water is just not just for weight loss. That is a habit that will really benefit you for the rest of your life. So drinking at least 64 ounces of water every day and getting into that routine right now as you're on the program, that's going to help you long term. Number 3 is eating 6 small meals a day. Balances your blood sugar. So on the 5-in-1 or the 4-in-2, whatever program you're on right now, it's designed perfectly to keep your blood sugar balanced. It's almost magical. So once you get to your healthy weight, we want your blood sugar to stay balanced. We want your metabolism to stay strong, your inflammation to stay down, your energy to stay up. Those are all benefits of balanced blood sugar. So we're going to go over how to continue doing that even when you're not eating fuelings all day long. How to do that with regular food, how to eat small balanced meals. And then number 4 is mindset. I think this is a huge one because a lot of times we're focused on the transactional skills of eating right, sleeping, drinking your water, but we don't pay attention to what's going on up in the mind. And that's really where it's most important, because we all are going to go through some hard times in life, some stress, some busy times. That's just life. And if we don't really learn how to manage that stress, how to be more mindful with our eating, it's so easy to go back to those bad habits that we were in on how we managed that stress before. So really recognizing that as you're in this weight loss phase of how you manage your stress, kind of what your triggers are. Do you crave ice cream or chocolate when you're stressed? That's something that we're working on right now to retrain that habit so that when stress does creep up, you're not going back to those hard times. Another thing is staying accountable with your health coach, making sure that you're just checking in with your health coach, at least once a month, going over those healthy habits That's what we're here for. Even once you hit your goal, you'll always have a health coach. That's the nice thing. And being in that community so that you can really keep your mind focused on your health. And then the fifth one is movement, exercise, moving your body. So if you have not started an exercise program and you have been on the plan for at least 2 weeks, I would recommend starting something. But definitely before you transition, you want to be in a good routine of some sort of exercise. It doesn't have to be an hour at the gym. It could be a 10-minute walk every day, but something intentional every day that you're doing to move your body. Just that extra bit of calorie burning is going to help during that optimization phase, just to have that buffer. And also it's so important to be building muscle, because naturally your body loses muscle every year. 2 to 3 pounds of muscle after you hit, I think, age 40 or 43. Your body naturally starts deteriorating that muscle if you're not building muscle. So that's so important that you're not just doing a little bit of cardio like walking, but finding some sort of weight training. It could be using your own body weight as resistance, or picking up some cans while you walk, finding some things that you can be building muscle at the same time. That's really going to help. So reach out to your health coach if you want to talk about starting some kind of exercise plan to figure out a good plan for you. But definitely before you start transition, you should be in the habit of exercising. All right, so we talked about the 6 small balanced meals a day. I think it's really important that you understand why you're doing that. And there's been a lot of studies that have researched this. The most popular one was done at University of Toronto. They had 2 large groups of people. One group ate, so both of these groups ate the same exact foods. One ate those foods 3 times a day, split up into 3 meals, and the other, it was split up to 6 smaller meals. And it was just amazing, the group that ate the 6 smaller meals, how much more weight they lost. They were less hungry, so they weren't hangry during the day. They didn't have the highs and lows of energy. They even reduced their cholesterol and blood insulin levels drastically, which is awesome. So it kind of shows the science of why that's important. And one way that I like to explain that is, a typical American diet is grabbing something that's usually high carb, like a bagel or a donut or even a blended smoothie. All that fruit broken down gets into your bloodstream quickly, and it spikes your blood sugar. So even those things that we think are healthy, like a glass of orange juice, that really just spikes your blood sugar really fast. And so your body starts releasing insulin to get your blood sugar back down, basically so you don't die. Like it's what keeps you alive. It balances your blood sugar. The way that it gets your blood sugar down is it starts taking that sugar and storing it into your fat cells to get that back down. And so that's why it's easy to gain weight when you're eating a lot of high carb foods, because your body's so busy storing that sugar into your fat cells. And so if you're eating more smaller balanced meals, then your body's not having to release that insulin. The insulin pump isn't turning on all day, and your body's not working so hard. And so what happens when your body is storing that sugar into your fat cells, then your blood sugar goes up so high, and then it stores all that into your fat cells, and then it just drops really fast. And that's why after you eat something that's high carb, like white bread or sugar, like just kind of some kind of sweet treat, you're usually hungry soon after. It's because your body's worked so hard to get that blood sugar down, and then your body's sending signals that it needs to get it back up. So you're craving those fast carbs again, so your body will get the blood sugar back up. So that kind of explains why balancing your blood sugar is important. Even if you're not diabetic, it's just really crucial for your hunger, your cholesterol, your blood insulin, your cravings, your energy, all of that. So in our Habits of Health book, it teaches us low glycemic foods. So definitely the things that you eat when you're on the program, those are all low glycemic, great options for the rest of your life. But we're going to be adding more things in, like fruits, things that are higher glycemic. So on this chart, the green is go. You want to eat those most of the time. So definitely everything that you're eating now, the fruits that are lowest glycemic would be things like berries, like raspberries, blackberries, grapefruit, cherries, lemons, lime, things that aren't really sweet, of course. And then you have even the light green things like apples, nectarines, peaches, pears, strawberries, oranges, apricots, plums, figs. Those are great things also. So things that are in the in the orange and red, those are higher glycemic. Not to say you can't eat those, but those just wouldn't be as often that you eat those. Or for sure, you're always going to want to pair that with a protein, because when you have something that spikes your blood sugar and you have protein, it helps to balance it back out. It kind of pulls that blood sugar back down. So if you always pair something that's high glycemic with a protein, then it just gets it more balanced. So you never want to eat like white rice or white bread or you know, things like that without some kind of protein. Otherwise, it's just going to spike it really quickly. So kind of a rule of thumb is basically every 3 hours you want to eat, and just always plan on having some kind of protein with whatever you're eating. It just kind of keeps your blood sugar more balanced. But definitely, like if you're eating fruit or grains, you know, those are going to spike your blood sugar more. You always want to add a protein with it, and we'll go over how to keep that simple. So I have this list. If you'd like me to send it to you, I can send it. You can print it off and put it on your fridge and start getting familiar with what healthy proteins and what healthy carbs are right now. But basically, it's kind of like elementary school. We have a couple elementary school teachers on here. Tony, I know she taught elementary school. This is kind of like connect, like what's match the answers, but there's no wrong answers. You pick one protein and connect it with one carb, and that's a great healthy snack. So basically, during that optimization phase, you might have a boiled egg with a whole wheat piece of toast, or you know, beans and veggies, or low fat like cottage cheese with fruit, or a cheese stick with some whole grain crackers, you know, something like that. So basically, a carb and a protein together every 3 hours, and usually you'll have kind of like 3 meals and then 3 small snacks in between to keep that blood sugar balance. And of course, you can still use the fuelings, the portion controlled meal replacements for snacks, even in the optimization phase. I keep a whole cupboard full of like just easy to grab things, so that when I'm working and I know it's time to eat, I can just grab something and I'm good for 3 more hours. It makes it very convenient. And especially like if you know you're going out to eat, for example, and you're going to maybe eat more calories at night, don't skip meals. That's just going to make you hungrier, and it's going to make your body just store that more often. So fuelings are a great thing to eat, you know, if you're just trying to keep your blood sugar balanced before a bigger meal, or just on the go, or, you know, just because they taste good. I love to use those instead of, you know, sweets. I love to have a brownie at night or hot cocoa in the morning. So I just know that it keeps my blood sugar balanced. Another thing about the optimization phase is the fuelings are a great tool. It's just like a washer machine. If you have a washing machine, why would you wash your hands or your clothes by hand, right? Like, you have a great tool to help you. So use it. If you ever, I love to do the 5-in-1. I go back on 5-in-1 after a vacation, after a holiday, even after a stressful time in my life. Like, I just liked that structure, like to get me back into those good habits. Even if I hadn't gained weight, it just gets me back into a good routine. So just know that you can always jump back on 5-in-1, and you don't even have to transition if you are on it less than a month. So you can just kind of like increase your calories slowly after that. So that's a great thing after a holiday, to say, hey, I'm going to do 5-in-1 for a week or 2, you know, get back into my good habits. So it's a great tool to use as needed also. One other thing about when you're making your own choices is the 9-inch plate. I love to get a smaller plate instead of, you know, trade out your big dinner plates and get a smaller plate. It's about the size of a paper plate. And that tricks your brain to think that you're eating more if your plate is full. And so if it's smaller, your plate will be full more often. And always filling half your plate with vegetables, you know, sometimes fruits, but always half of your plate with fruits and veggies. A quarter of your plate with a lean protein, and a quarter of your plate with a healthy carbohydrate. And that's optional. You don't always have to have a bread or a starch. You can do lean and green. I try to do that most often. And when I do have a grain like bread, I try to eat that earlier in the day, so it's not my last meal before I go to bed, so I don't have those extra carbs in my body that your body has to do something with to get the blood sugar balance. So if I'm going to eat fruit or bread, I try to do that for breakfast or lunch or a snack in between one of those earlier meals. And then I try to keep it lean and green at night. That just really helps me stay on track, to always try to do lean and green at night. And occasionally, yeah, I'll have a piece of pizza with a big salad and some cottage cheese. But for the most part, my family tries to do lean and green most every night. It just feels good at night to eat a healthy dinner. Does anyone have any questions so far? I know I'm kind of breezing through these. All right. So this is just a good reminder. If you are going, let's say you're going to a holiday party or a buffet. I try to stay away from buffets for sure, because I hate the feeling of feeling stuffed and feeling like you have to get your money's worth. So a buffet is the last place I will ever choose to go because it's hard just to eat a 9-inch plate at a buffet. But let's say you're at a buffet or a holiday party or a potluck. Instead of just starting at one end and starting to fill your plate up, go ahead and walk down the aisle and think, okay, what vegetables and fruit do I want? So before I start dishing at my plate, I know what's going on my plate before I start. So I walk down the aisle and I pick out the vegetables or the fruits that I'm going to eat. I find a protein that I could eat to go with it. And sometimes all there is maybe like cheese and like deli meat. Sometimes that's all you can find, but that's okay. And that's why I always keep a fueling, like a bar in my purse or with me, so that if there's not good options, at least I know I have something that I could eat that's healthy. So choose a healthy protein. And then here's the hard part. There's always so many carbs, starches, desserts, rolls. So instead of just starting to pile that on your plate, walk down and think, okay, what are my very favorite things here? What do I really want to eat? And then you'll know if there's several things that you might just take a little scoop of a few different things, so that you're not piling your plate with all of these options that you want to eat, but you don't realize there's so many good things. So it just helps you to really be mindful about what's going on your plate. And so just knowing that you have a quarter of your plate that you can choose, those healthy carbs. And sometimes they're not always the healthiest choices, but as long as you keep it to that quarter of a plate, and they might be, at Thanksgiving, it might be a little scoop of stuffing. It might be a little spoonful of mashed potatoes. It might be half a roll, just kind of your very favorites can go right in that spot. And then those are the things that you'll eat small bites and really savor. And then if you go back for seconds, it's going to be vegetables and fruits. So trying to keep it more vegetables and fruits and protein. So that's really what I try to do. It really keeps me on track. And in this optimization phase, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect all the time. We go by the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, make healthy choices. Once in a while, you're going to have, those treats or those things that aren't healthy, but the majority of the time, making good choices. Okay, so what does transition look like? We talked about once you hit your goal, go one more week of 5 and 1, just to have a little bit of a buffer. And then the first week is very simple. You're basically just doing 5 and 1, but you're adding an extra cup of vegetables, and this can be any kind. So it doesn't have to be a low carb vegetable. It could be a sweet potato or carrots or peas. It doesn't matter. And I would add that extra cup, not at dinner, because that would make your dinner meal so big. It could just be like pack some veggies to take with you, some baby carrots or something to snack on during the day. Or maybe you'll use part of your protein and make like an egg white omelet in the morning. But sometime during the day, just get that extra cup of veggies. The second week, this is always in addition to, so you're still going to have that extra cup of veggies. The second week, you're actually going to take out one of the fuelings. And so you're going to do 4 fuelings, a lean and green, an extra cup of veggies, and 2 pieces of fruit. So this is kind of fun because you've probably been missing fruit at this point, and it's really fun to enjoy that fruit all week long and learn what proteins you like to eat with your fruit: cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, cheese stick, maybe a roll of turkey breast lunch meat, something. You always want to pair a protein with a fruit. So that means you'll be taking some of your protein from your lean and green to pair with your fruit, or you'll be adding some fruit, like maybe some berries, to a shake, or adding. You can add up to 3 extra ounces of protein anytime during the 5 and 1. So that would be a good time to add some, boiled egg or a cheese stick with a piece of your fruit, and then maybe the other piece of fruit eat with a fueling, so that you're having some protein with it. And half a cup of berries or melon counts as one of your fruits, and you need to add 2 during the day. But week 3, in addition to what you did before, you will add a serving of dairy. So week 2, it's normal that you're kind of hungry because You're out of fat burn for sure because you're eating fruit, but your calories are still low, so it's normal that you're kind of hungry. That's why adding that extra protein in to eat with one of your pieces of fruit really helps you not feel hungry. Week 3, this is when you get to add a serving of dairy. So this really helps because you can add, some cottage cheese or Greek yogurt or some milk into your smoothie. So it really helps to have that dairy, that protein to add with a fruit. So I really like that. And if you didn't eat dairy before, you don't have to add this in now. You could do like almond milk or soy milk in place of that. That's just fine. So don't feel like you have to add dairy in if you didn't eat dairy before. All right, weeks 4, 5, and 6. On week 4, you're actually going to take out another meal replacement. So you'll be having 3 fuelings, and those will be usually in between your meals. And then you'll be having your 2 pieces of fruit, your veggie, and you're actually going to add 4 to 6 ounces of protein. So basically you're doing a second lean and green with that extra veggie and then the 4 to 6 ounces of protein. So it might be lunch and dinner. You'll kind of be doing a lean and green. And then you also get to add 1 serving of whole grains. So that could be, and we always want to choose whole grains when possible. Whole grain bread, brown rice, high fiber cereal, steel cut oatmeal, something whole grain, because your blood sugar spikes much slower with whole grains because there's fiber that keeps your blood sugar more balanced, and it's harder for your body to break down, so it works harder. You're actually burning more calories, and your body doesn't turn right to sugar like white flour, white sugar, or white bread does. So choosing whole grains when possible. And so this probably feels like a lot of food at this point because you're basically doing 2 lean and green meals, 2 pieces of fruit, a piece of whole grain, and a serving of dairy during the day. So you're going to be able to split that up into 3 meals and 3 snacks during the day. And you continue doing that for weeks 5 and 6, so your body really adjusts to, more carbs, more calories. If you were just to get to your goal and add all these foods back in, your body would just start storing that, doesn't know what to do. That's why it's so important that we transition where we add things in slowly, increasing the carbs and calories, get your body adjusted to that. But even more than that, mentally, if you just all of a sudden had to make decisions 6 times a day of what you're going to eat, your brain automatically wants all the things that you haven't eaten, the donuts, the pizza, those unhealthy things, and before you know it, you're back where you started. So mentally, this really helps stepping you into healthy choices. And then week 7, so once you see that your weight is pretty stable, we would just figure out your T, and there's a calculator that we can do that right on my website, and it figures in your age, your height, your weight, and your activity level. And so if you need more than 1,500 calories a day, we'll just add 100 calories per week until you reach your needed calorie intake. So if you work out a lot, if you exercise a lot, then you'll probably need to be adding a few extra 100 calories, and we'll do that slowly each week. So that's another benefit of exercise. You get to add more food in. So, all right. And then I would say my top tips are stay accountable. Monthly check-ins with your coach, even if you're doing great, just let them know you're keeping up with your healthy habits. That accountability is huge. Tracking your calories. If you wanted to use like a calorie counting app like MyFitnessPal, that's great just to see kind of where you are with your balance of carbs and protein and sugar. It's really simple to track that. So I like my clients to track that just for that month of transition when they're making their own choices, just so that we can see where they are, what we need to adjust. We talked about adding an exercise, plan ahead for success. So that's key. Meal planning, like just thinking ahead of what you're going to have for dinners or meals, just so that you're not caught off guard going through a drive-through. Whenever you leave the house, just making sure you're taking a healthy snack with you. That's why the fuelings are so easy for on the go, or you could take a little baggie of nuts or string cheese with a piece of fruit, or, you kind of get good at just knowing like just easy snacks that you can just grab and take with you. And then I see that my clients that continue using the fuelings have greater success because we're busy. You're going to feel great. It's just so easy to know that you have something that will balance your blood sugar for 3 hours when you're busy, but also knowing that you're investing in healthy food. Just keeps you on track. Same with exercise. When you invest time in yourself to exercise, it makes you make better choices throughout the day. And then keep learning. Continue to hop on the Habits of Health calls. Those are not just for clients. Those are for the rest of your life. You're welcome to hop on and continue learning and having those reminders of those healthy habits. And I would say probably the very best tip I could give anyone is, that wants to keep their weight off, is by paying it forward. Just because studies show that health coaches with Optavia are 5 times more likely to get to their goal and keep it off if they're helping someone else. And you can think of the analogy of, it's really hard to go backwards when you're helping someone move forward. It's hard to go back to your old ways when you're encouraging other people, when you're continuing learning. When I check in with my clients and I ask, how are you doing with your water? Or we talk them through, a plan for the holidays or something, it makes me think of what I could do better, and just having that accountability. So even if you help one person, if there's someone that, is on your heart that you would like to help, knowing that it's going to help you just as much is kind of like your health insurance, so that you continue working on your health. Or a lot of people, are able to make it an income. So we help a lot of people quit their jobs or whatever you want, and that's part of your transformation. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, so you can really have that balance. So if you are curious about what that would look like, or if you feel like that would really help you continue on your health journey, then reach out. We'd love to explore that, see if it's a good fit for you. But I can tell you 100% in the over 8 years that I've been coaching, the people that keep it off the best are people that are paying it forward, helping someone else, that become health coaches. So I love that that's, really helping. It's a win-win situation. So I love that. All right. So that's the end of my slideshow. I just want to open it up for questions and just hear if you have any other tips, those of you that are on the call that have been in this optimization phase, been through the transition, any other tips that you'd like to share, or any questions. So let's just open it up. If you want to ask a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can't figure that out, raise your hand and I'll unmute you. I'm just going to unmute everyone because I want to hear, like, what
I've got something.
Yes.
A question.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, sometimes it's easier to stay on track when you have a goal that you're shooting for. So beyond what we're, just reaching a certain weight, if you have other goals that you're wanting to do, and maybe a hike, maybe those kind of things that you're shooting for, it helps keep you focused and moving forward. I think that's been a real helpful thing for me too over the years.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because it's always important to celebrate one goal, but always have the next one in mind. So yep. Your goal to start might be to get to a healthy weight, but think about what's next. What do I want to work on next? It might be exercise, it might be meditation or yoga, or and it doesn't have to be specifically something to do with healthy body. It might be nutrition or working on a relationship or something, but always having something that you're working on that you can celebrate, and then know what your next goal is going to be, so that you're always moving forward, because it's so easy to start moving backwards. We want to just keep moving forward. Thank you, Vicki.
Liz?
Yes, Stacy.
I wasn't on for the first 3 minutes, so I don't know if you had already mentioned it, but I know one thing that's continued to help me is to continue with learning with the principle that Dr. A teaches of stop, challenge, choose. And not just with food, but even other decisions or choices, just being more mindful in general. And so reviewing any of like his ebook where he talks about that, or like you mentioned, the webinars, getting back on still, and really being intentional with some of our decisions during the day, not just with food.
Yes, I think that's so good. And in the life book, if you haven't been going through the life book, this really helps to be setting your own goals and learning personal development, learning kind of what's going on in your brain, and you know, learning, like Stacy said, stop, challenge, choose is something that we really focus on, to stop and think about our choice before we make it. And so it's not just about whether you're going to eat the donut or not, but it might be on how you're going to react to somebody, you know, when somebody said something that wasn't so nice, or, you know, in your relationships, in your thoughts, even if someone cut you off in traffic, you know, so automatic. Sometimes we lose our temper, but if you learn to stop, challenge that thought, and then make a choice, you know, how do you want this to affect you? And so that's such a great tool, Stacy, in your life in general, not just with your food choices, but stop, challenge that thought, and then make a choice. So letting there be space in between stimulants and response is where we really make those choices.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Anyone else have any other questions? Thank you, Vicki, for that nice comment. Tony, did that make sense, or did we kind of confuse you even more?
No, it made sense, but it made me realize I have a lot to learn.
It's a journey, you know, like, right. I love the 5-in-1 because it's very simple. Eat within an hour of waking up, drink your water, get this amount of lean and green, you're going to lose weight. But along the way, we can really start being mindful. And I love that, you know, it's not a race. And we see that the longer you're on the program, the longer you have time to change your brain. And so really thinking about that, like, it's not about how fast can I get there, but what can I learn along the way?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Tony, that's why I love coaching. If you have a friend or a family member that wants to get healthy, if you were helping them, because you learn everything that you teach. I mean, you know, teacher learns more than the student. So that would just help you to continue learning. That's one thing we love about coaching. It's just like having this personal development avenue where you have mentors and you're always learning, you know, to become better and work on yourself so that you can help other people. So that's one thing I love. Like, it benefits you so much at the same time. So you're doing fantastic, Tony, and I will be there every step of the way. So don't you worry.
I'm excited, and it's nice to hear the comments from others and questions, and it's encouraging. Gives me encouragement.
Yeah, well, why don't we just share, because there are a few coaches. Why don't we share, like, how much you've lost and how long ago, like how long you've been in the optimization phase. Stacy, do you want to share how long?
Sure. I started the program. I did the 5-in-1 program 3 years ago, and I lost 40 pounds, and I have kept that off for 3 years, and it's been a great thing, but it's been continual learning, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So,
I still learn things all the time, even after 8 years.
Yep.
So let's see. I don't see Janae. Oh, Janae, I see your shoulder. I don't know if you want to share how much you've lost, or Alina or Vicki.
Do I want to share?
Go for it.
Hi.
Hi, Janae.
Yeah, so I lost 30 pounds, and I've been keeping it off. And I started 3 years ago this November, and I lost 12 pounds for a wedding that I had in December, and then I went on to lose the rest of my weight. So it's been awesome.
Yes, and I love Janae, like, really makes it an effort to come. She lives up in Ogden area. She'll come down for trainings, drive all that way. Same with Vicki. She's in Colorado, and she'll drive all the way to Utah for a lot of our trainings just because they're so impactful. And Stacy's up in, you know, we see all of these people that are on this call. I always see at trainings, and it's fun to be learning together, and it's just, they make that a priority. So continuing to learn. I'm sure you love to learn, Tony, too, being a teacher.
Well, thank you. Thanks to all of you for sharing.
No problem. And oh yeah, we have several others, but I think Vicki hopped off. Vicki lost 60 pounds. Is that right, Stacy?
Yeah, I think both her and her husband lost about 60 apiece.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was, has she been for 5 years now?
Yeah, several years. Yeah.
Yeah. Long time.
It's fun. So it is possible. And, you know, these are just, we just want to share what's coming next. It's just nice to know like what the next step is, knowing that yes, you can enjoy all the foods that you love, but you're going to learn to be smarter about how often you eat them and pairing them with proteins and eating smaller portions, you know, just being more mindful and really asking yourself, like, we're going to walk into basically intuitive eating, learning to recognize what your body really wants instead of just mindlessly grabbing things that are in front of you. And so that's where the fun part comes. Right now, you're kind of in that jacuzzi of your 5-in-1 where it's just coming off. You just follow the plan, and it's going to melt away, and you're going to be learning so much. You know, right now you're learning a lot too, but as you transition, you learn a lot. You know, as you make those choices yourself. So, all right. Well, I'm just excited to get to share this with you, that since that's our healthy habit this week is transition. I wanted to go over that just to give everyone an idea of what's coming next and how fun it can be. And you can continue feeling great. And it's very empowering knowing that you have the tools to keep your weight off, because that's what a lot of people are scared about. So, and it all comes down to your healthy habits. That's really what this program is all about. So thank you guys for hopping on. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And if you have any other questions, I'll be on for a few more minutes. So have a good night.